Hello, and welcome back to another installment of If You List It, They Will Sell. It's kind of tacky, but it's staying in. Maybe it's because I hit that magic 3,000 listing mark, which I was trying to get back to since the last months of last year. December and January, took off really good. I think December was almost 9K. And I was doing the math from sales increases from basically end of summer onward, and the quarters math, so on and so forth, and how I was figuring that I would be able to have at least a 20% gain each quarter, and that didn't happen. From January onward, it went down, and now for the last week was fairly decent, and these past couple days. So it's always good to start your week off with a couple days of fairly chunky sales. So it really doesn't matter either way. You could start off slow and then end well. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. But if you start off really well, that makes it, if it starts to slow down, at least you had the good start. Hopefully, this trend keeps going. The main topic point that I'm going to go over for this intro is going to be a fairly shorter intro here, is this book, but it took a little looking up. I do not have, well, I had a worth point for a while, years and years and years ago. I don't remember the tier of what it was. I know I paid like one chunk amount, and it gave me access to, and it was at least, I probably used it for at least 3 or 4 years. It's like $200. I don't remember. There have been listings that have sold for this book, signed 1952. I can't get into worth point to actually see. Looking at more just delving information, I would think that it would be a safe and a fair value to put it up for 1,500 and just have the best offers on. Garner some interest, see what happens. Will it eventually sell for $1,000? More likely. Being that the highest priced one that has sold is the most recent one, and it's 1952. And that one has, well, I'm not going to open it up just to kind of show, but it has an inscription on the inside of the dust jacket. This has no inscriptions. So I've said, and some other people may or may not agree, however, a book with just the signature, to me, it holds more value than a book with an inscription, unless that inscription is about somebody important, either about the book or someone who is famous or quasi-famous, which have you. But if it's just read in here, thanks for buying my book, Derek, Dale Carnegie, that inscription would devalue the signature. So there are some caveat emptors to this. Can I expect 12 to 15? You can expect all kinds of stuff. Is it safe for me to put it up for 15 and it eventually sell for 1,000 to 12? So this is just in the book itself is just in a lot better condition. Now, a mint condition book like this, further in the video that I wrote, which I improperly used an apostrophe when I wrote its condition. I was going to write something like, it is, I don't remember what I was going to write, but I just never finished. Either way, a later print with the signature. So this is a 1952 book. There's absolutely no way the signature could be any older than the book's age. So he couldn't have signed a 1952 book in 1949. Impossible. So it's a later life signature. That helps a little. I am by all means not an aficionado in signatures for books and what makes them more valuable. It was $5.99, 50% off, $3. Even if it was a $6 book, and if it sold for $50, $60, I'd still buy it. Even not 50% off. So it was a good find. You know, so it's good to replace a $300 item that I got from that same Savers, the Tex Murphy, the Tesla Effect game that sold yesterday for $300. It's good to replace that with something that's worth 3 to 4 times as much. Works for me. And for those people listening, this stuff is out there. I don't find stuff like this often, but it goes with the idiom, you make 0 shots that you never take. If you never go out there and find it, or if you're not looking for it, or if you're not picking this stuff up to sell, this applies to resellers, you're never going to have it to list to sell. Hence the intro. If you list it, they will sell. Speaking of selling, let's find out what sold. Queen Plus, a tribute to Queen at some stadium somewhere, $50. This is the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. I listed, it sold the next day, so it sold yesterday. So looking these up in condition, sales history, the ratio, I don't remember because I have 4 Dungeons and Dragons books, but I want to say maybe there are 30 listed, 160 sold. So the rotation is so fast. At 160, that's 50 a month. So I went way down. I tried to figure out where the higher, more recent sale price is. So I said in the video when I got these that it's like a $25 book. But because of that extra 3 minutes of time, it got me another $10, 11, $36. A box of these little clicky eraser things. I had 10 boxes or so of these. One box had a few less. Maybe I have more boxes. I don't remember how many I exactly got. So instead of selling these with 12, I sell them with 13. And this is, I think, the 3rd or 4th one I've sold in the past couple months, maybe, and $30. Another larger book that I don't deal much in, these, larger books. And buyer came in, got this about the lowest, best offer prices possible, but still at 36. Memento soundtrack CD, 22. Destroy All Monsters VHS, 20. This, if I'm not mistaken, I got at what I dubbed the Long Lost Store, which was a store in like the Garfield Heights area that I had been at like 3 years before. And I had looked for it because the guy had one of those big metal cage. I'll just post a video up here. Years and years go by, and for many times I tried to find the store just via using Google Maps. And I was thinking that store was in the Parma or Strongsville area. Like, I can't find it. And I don't remember the name. I remember the parking lot. So I had it, and the store is one of those that it's in a plaza, and all you have is the entry door and like one window. And then it all gets wider and longer inside. Doesn't sound right. And I tried, and I'm just Googling around again. I'm like, that is it. So I found it. I went there the next day, and he tells me, hey, well, actually, I go and I find the guy. He's in the back, and I said, hey, I'm a media reseller. Where's your media stuff at? He goes, it's right here. I'm closing for good tomorrow, which would have been the 31st or the 30th, whichever it was exactly. So that day and the next day, I went down and I found a little over $2,000 of stuff, and I paid like $80. And I believe this was one of those items. It may not have been because of this, but I believe this was one of those items that I would have paid $1 for. If at anything, I paid $3 for it. 96 bucks. For this sealed Christian library old PC software. Adventures in Odyssey, something wit. 32. Quilt with Confidence. Nancy, Sewing with Nancy DVD. 15. Fear of a Black Hat DVD. One that's probably been up for a week. 29. Euclid Beach State Park DVD. 21. And Painterly Printmaking DVD software, maybe, whichever it is. It looks like a DVD. It's one of those really, really cool kind of paintings that has like the bright colors in it and it makes it all pop out. But either way, 19. And I'm waiting on payment for an old vintage, I want to say it's a Casio A1 calculator. That may not even have a date stamp on it. You know, that's how old that was. Now, some old vintage calculators for sure. I just mentioned, I think it was yesterday, about getting electronics. But if I'm only wanting to sell, let's just say, small first class electronics, A, the price for shipping is going to go up and down because it's all going to be first class. B, for me to go into any given store and find stuff that's $15 or more that can sell as quick as most media does, I'd have to go to as many, if not more, stores on daily and hand type every single thing. There are some electronics. I have a real nice SanDisk. I want to say it was a SanDisk MP3 player. I forget exactly what it was. I should be able to look it up. Maybe sold like a year ago. But that's an example of a real small electronic, something that I find. The Sony CBs. The MP3 player is probably $6. The CBs were 30. I don't deal that often in that stuff that much. And what I do have, what is selling, is stuff that's just been kind of sitting around. That's why doing a little extra diligence comes in handy. And you don't have to do a whole lot of extra diligence with the vast majority of disc media. Books like the Carnegie one will get some extra diligence in pictures. I'll make sure I have extra lighting and the camera is set proper and I can get quality enough pictures of the sections. I will list in the description box what I can. So that's the basic crux of today. I'm going to actually spin and resurface the disc media I have. That way I have at least 25 listings. There's not 25 that need done, but I take that with the other disc media that I have, and I'll have 25 new listings for the day and go from there. So that's that one. Like what you heard, like what you saw. Thumb thingy going up, comment thingy going down, subscribe thingy going in. That didn't sound right either. Share. That didn't sound right either. You get my point. That's not right. I'm not doing good with this one today. Appreciate it. Thank you.